We'll call our meeting to order tonight. We're not, if you do the roll call, please.
Miller,
Here.
English.
Here.
McEvers,
Here.
Wood,
Here.
Gookin.
Yep.
Evans.
Here.
Let's rise for the invocation. We have Pastor Stuart Bryan with the Trinity Church with us tonight. Welcome.
Let's pray together. Almighty and everlasting Father, we bow our heads before you to acknowledge that you are the source of all wisdom, truth, and goodness. We humans are weak and frail, often turning from the truth, often twisting the good, and often obscuring what you have made plain. And so we ever stand in need of your grace to redirect us, to correct us, to enable us to do that which we ought to do. As we gather here on the cusp of our Thanksgiving holiday, we call to mind the challenges our forefathers faced. When they landed at Plymouth, they had no one to whom they could turn but to you, and so they cried out to you, and you delivered them. As William Bradford, governor of Plymouth Colony, urged us to remember and to recount, our fathers were Englishmen who came over this great ocean, and they were ready to perish in this wilderness, but they cried unto the Lord, and he heard their voice and looked on their adversity. Let them therefore praise the Lord, because he's good, and his mercies endure forever. We find ourselves likewise facing many challenges as a people. COVID continues to spread. Our hospital resources are strained. Many of our small businesses have been devastated by lockdowns. Many of our poorest citizens have lost their jobs. We are deeply divided politically. We have been reminded again of our frailty, of our inability to control life and to protect ourselves. We are in need of your mercy. And so we turn to you. We pray that you would hear us and deliver us. Pray particularly for these men and women as they serve our city, that you would bless them. Heal, O Lord, our land. Turn our hearts back to you. Forgive us our many sins and errors. Restore us to the truth of your written word, the Bible, through Jesus Christ, your exalted King, whoever lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
You can lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe we have any amendments to the agenda, so we'll move on to public comment. Any member of the audience have a public comment tonight? We're not anyone on Zoom wishing to give public comment?
I have somebody on Zoom, but they're not raising their hand.
Okay. Not seeing any public comment. We will move on to announcements. Members of the council have announcements tonight.
I have a few. Thank you. I have a couple things. Wanted to let you know I was honored to be one of the judges for the Top 30 Under 40 Annual Recognition Program. It's organized by the Kootenai County Young Professionals Group. There were over 100 nominees, and I can't spill the beans on the winners, but I will tell you that our future is in good hands. There's just a talented group of dedicated people who do tons of volunteerism, and it was really humbling to read their commitments to the community. So that should be being promoted in local media soon. I also wanted to let you know the Historic Preservation Commission is starting their grant-funded planning process tomorrow. The plan will include how they move forward with archiving and documentation of historic buildings and sites within the city. And I'll update more as that comes about. Last Wednesday, I went to the Veterans Memorial ceremony at McEwen Park, and it was very nice. One of the things I wanted to mention is that I was asked if there was something possibly next year we could do to assist some of the more mature members of the veterans groups who were there, because they had quite a ways to go from their finding parking and maybe warming shelters. So I just am throwing that out to council and ask them to bring it up sooner, and maybe we can do something, get the community involved and do a warming tent or closer parking or something like that. So that's all I had.
Right, thank you. Does the council have anything? Woody?
I need to give you guys an update on Lake City Center. We kind of got wiped out by COVID, had a couple of employees that crashed, and so we had closed down the center for 14 days. at the same time, we have to do Meals on Wheels. I mean, those people, that's how they get their food. So we're running about 120 Meals on Wheels right now every day. It's 700, 840 a week. It's pretty intense, and it's creeping up. It's, more people are in the need of help. But things are going well. Everybody's kind of back now. We finished bingo, which is our big money raiser. They're replacing the carpet. We got 20 years out of it. So that's happening. We're closed down right now just to make sure we're clean and good shape. Meals on Wheels is the focus right now. That's the most important thing. We're hoping to get back open. The 10 people thing is pretty limiting. I think the only people that can come in are the old pool players. They don't get too close to each other and don't touch all the balls, that kind of stuff. So that's Lake City Center, it's maturity at its best. But kind of an update. I know CBDG is helping us. The little business thing, help the businesses, they're trying to help us get some food, get ahead a little, so it takes some pressure off the crews. These guys feed every day, so 7 days a week these folks get food. So it's become kind of the passion and a priority. So, but everything's looking good, and I
Great.
thank you for all the support the city's done. They
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Wood. Anyone else? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So update from KMPO, to let you know the traffic study for the health corridor is proceeding. And don't really have anything to report on that other than it's proceeding. And then we have the major event this month, which was at the failure of the gas, not gas tax, but it was a vehicle registration fee failed. And interesting dynamics of that in that of all the precincts in the county, there's 70 precincts, there was only one that had a majority of 50% required to pass a thing, and that was yours, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for rallying your neighbors. But we really needed a lot more than that. So it failed, so the traffic improvements will be put on hold as the money comes in, and hopefully we can all tolerate the congestion. Thank you.
All right, I had one piece of business. I would like to seek appointment of Teresa Rangi to the Arts Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Woody, consent
Mr. Mayor, I'd
calendar.
like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, including Resolution 20063.
Second.
Motion and a second on the consent calendar. Any further discussion? Dan? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did have a question about the one item in there regarding the pay grade change, and I read the minutes from the General Services Committee meeting, and I read the staff report, and I'm a little confused as to how it's going to be funding. It sounds like it says on one hand that the money was already in the budget, but the thing was missed. I don't know if I understand that correctly or not. But on the other hand, it also says that this is going to be paid for out of savings from the budget. So which is it? Who do I ask that question to? I asked that to Renata.
I can start. That's a position within my department. So in the budget, we had noted it under the employee section that would be a pay grade 17, but it didn't get funded at that. It's still at a pay grade 16. Additionally, we have a new position in there for an IT network analysis person, and that was funded at a pay grade 15. After the budget was adopted, the it's not BDPA now, but the group that reviews the pay scales brought it in at a pay grade 14. So there's some additional funding between a 14 and a 15 that's in my budget, and we've delayed filling that position by about 3 months. So with those staff savings, we'd be able to cover the difference between the 16 and the 17 pay grade.
Okay, thank you, Renata. So, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that this has happened before, that there's been pay grade changes in the budget, during the year as opposed to in the budgeting time, and that I just am very uncomfortable with that. Thank you.
This is the first time that I've seen that come through the consent calendar. Is that typical, Troy, for that item to come through the consent calendar?
We felt that it was basically explaining what Renata just talked about, to look at that and the confusion that it created. So bringing it to General Services Public Works Committee and bringing it forward this way.
Council have any other questions on that item? Kiki?
I just wanted to mention, General Services approved a performing arts grant this last session, and I wanted to thank a couple people who were involved with that and give you just a little tiny piece of the background of that. I was kind of hoping it would come forward to council so folks would hear it, and I got wrapped up in other things. But just real briefly, that was an item that was arts funding money through Ignite that had been dedicated, about $100,000 dedicated to the arts anyway in their program. And so what happened is, with the help of all these, a bunch of different folks involved, we were able to move that $100,000 to a performing arts category. And because of COVID, all of our performing arts locally, they were completely shut down, lost multiple seasons. And so there were some sideboards put on this program that it had to be an organization that had been established here for a number more than 5 years, that they had paid staff and employees, they compensated their performers. And so it really did define a loss of a large industry in our community. So this bridge gap kind of grant was awarded in the amount, it's in the notes, but it was about $36,000 to 3 organizations: Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater, Opera, and the Coeur d'Alene Symphony, and also about $6,000 something to Coeur d'Alene Chorale. So those are all performing arts organizations that we hope will be able to be in the dark for a little while, but get back on stage. And I wanted to thank the Arts Commission, Ignite, Amy, Dan Gukin was instrumental in that, and a large committee of people who reviewed all these. Troy, thank you for your help on that. And I hope that they'll be back stronger than ever, and I'm looking forward to live performances in the near future.
I think we all are. Yes, thank you, Kiki. Any other discussion on the consent calendar? Roll call, please, Renata.
Miller,
Yes.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move on to other business. The first piece of other business is a grant award recommendation and requested approval to enter into contract negotiations with Boys and Girls Club of Kootenai County for the expanded child care and academic support program using CDBG CV funds. Chelsea.
So, good evening. So tonight, our decision point is, should City Council authorize staff to proceed with an agreement to fund Boys and Girls Club of Kootenai County in the amount of $50,000 for their expanded child care and academic support program with CDBG CV funds in response to COVID-19. So the Boys and Girls Club of Kootenai County is requesting $50,000 for their expanded child care and academic assistance program due to the increased needs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So in March, we received $199,675 in the first round of CDBG CV funds. And then in September, we received another $247,124 in the third round of funding. We have up to 6 years to spend the total amount, but we need to spend 80% of it within 3 years. So the CV funds can only be used to prevent, prepare for, or respond to coronavirus and prioritize the needs of low and moderate income people. So total amount that we're receiving is $446,799,000. And so far we have allocated $151,431 towards projects like homeless sheltering and support, the expanded Meals on Wheels program, the Boys and Girls Food Pantry, and domestic violence support, child care assistance program, and some subsistence programs, and then the staff administration costs. So staff is recommending that we fund the Boys and Girls Club $50,000 for their expanded child care program. This slide is the projects that we've funded so far that adds up to that 151.31 or 431, and that includes our city utility and assistance program and the CD Aid hospitality subsistence program that we funded last month. So here's another overview of the funding. So the total $446,799, and then the admin costs or admin allocation so far is $59,160. So we have a total remaining of $236,208 to go towards the community opportunity grants. So if we fund the Boys and Girls Club tonight, we will still have $186,208 remaining. So for the Boys and Girls Club, the COVID impacts have been the school cutbacks in the in-person education. So the staff of Boys and Girls Club has had to step into the role of academic support and instruction, assisting the students with their schoolwork, and they've increased their operating hours by 150%, so an additional 30 hours per week. They've also expanded their wireless bandwidth capacity to accommodate the digital education needs. So they are asking for support to recover the expenses incurred due to the increased staffing and operating hours from July through the end of October, and then the additional ongoing payroll costs for November and December. Membership fees are only $20 a year, but many families can't afford those fees. The Boys and Girls Club works with the schools to provide scholarships to homeless youth and foster care youth as well. So they're expecting their scholarships for membership, including what they've already given since July out, and through the end of the year to be about $15,000 just for the scholarship fees, in addition to the payroll costs. So this project falls under the CDBG National Objective Benefit to Low and Moderate Income Persons, and the activity code is 05D for Youth Services. So here's the budget that they have, which shows their regular operating expenses in the center column, and then the total operating expenses. So they've broken it down from July through August, and then the projected November and December. They're also expecting that with the new governor's order that those numbers for November and December are going to go up, because they're going to probably go back to 2 days a week of in-person instruction after the Thanksgiving holiday. So December and November might look more like August and September did. So their total with that and the scholarship membership fees is $50,639 in excess expenses over what they normally do. So the decision point is that City Council should authorize staff to proceed with an agreement to fund the Boys and Girls Club of Kootenai County in the amount of $50,000 for their expanded child care and academic support program with CDBG CV funds in response to COVID-19.
So move.
I would second his motion and then discussion.
Pretty quick out of the chute there. Okay, so do we have questions, council questions for Chelsea?
Just comments, Mr. Mayor. First of all, your staff report's very well done. Thank you. And all the moving parts that you and your team have been responsible for in determining how to best eke out the small amount of federal money. You've done an outstanding job with that. I think that this proposal goes right to the heart of the community, where you are providing support not only for students to have more of an environment to thrive in, but for the working parents. Mm-hmm. And so I was pleased to see this come forward. I know it's probably a large chunk of money compared to some of the other grants we've made, but this is a large organization that has a large impact. And so I'm happy to second that.
Other questions for Chelsea? Could we back up I just want to check on just a little piece of math here. Back up to that chart.
The accountant.
The money guy.
Oh, oops, other way. This one?
That one
Budget?
there, yeah. I was just looking at, if you go down to the very bottom, you see the 428,639, and then the 253,200.
Oh, they didn't add that up.
If you go back up to the July, August, September, October, looks like the regular operating expense, there might have been just a little glitch there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point that out in case someone saw that and saw that the numbers didn't quite add up there, but I
Not quite.
I believe, just in looking through that really quickly, that number of 50,639 is correct.
Yeah, I
Looks like
think,
that fourth column is accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So just to point that out, not to be a nitpicker. or
thank you.
anything. It's kind of my game.
Yeah,
Numbers guy, numbers.
Well, they did that, right? That wasn't you.
they did that,
Yeah.
but I still should have caught it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other questions for Chelsea or any discussions in regards to the motion and the second? All right, so we have a motion and a second and no other further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have the COVID Small Business Relief Grant updates. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you. See if I can share. Okay, so I come to you tonight as promised that when we started getting through some of our small business grant relief funds that I would give you a status update, and we are getting very near to the end. We have a deadline of December 1st, and we have really pounded the ground trying to get as many applicants as possible. Attending many different meetings and committees, trying to reach out to as many youth services that I possibly could, and our seniors services. In that, we did decent. I still have more coming in as we speak. So just right before I left here, I actually had another childcare emailing me wanting to know what can I do, where can I get some more money, and whatnot. So we're still working on it. I'm hoping that by December 1st, we've at least used $200,000 of the $340,000 that you guys have set aside of the city's CARES Act funds for the small business relief. So, between now and December 1st, because we haven't reached the 340 max, what I'm now starting to do is reach out to our city staff, because we still are going to have about $100,000 to use of the 1.7 million CARES Act before the end of December. So I'm going to reach out to the staff, see what their additional needs might be, and I'll be back the beginning of December to either release the additional funds that we have left over, or hopefully maybe say we've used it all with small business.
Stephanie, is there some talk of extending that deadline beyond December 31st?
Not as of right now. In fact, the last email that I received from the State Controller's Office asked that we have everything that we're going to request either pre-approved or submitted by December 11th.
Okay.
So I'm coming down to the wire on some of that stuff.
Council questions for Stephanie?
So we've got, like I said, we've got 180 already allocated out there to, I think we reached out to our small business and our senior services pretty well. We're going to continue to reach out. I know that in light of the increase and the new stage 2 mandates and what may be happening, changes with the schools, the Boys and Girls Club has already reached out again. Some of the other daycares and preschool facilities, the CDA Montessori has reached out. They're reaching weird statuses. Parents are either A, wanting to fill spots full-time because they're still working and trying, or pulling out. So there's a lot of moving parts for the child care centers right now. There's some moving out, but a bunch coming in also. So everyone's trying to find an easy balance. So one of the things that we just did a big push on, and all of the council members did a great job helping me reach out to the different
entities that they were familiar with, and I've helped a lot of people try and apply for these fogging machines. We're using them even at the city, trying to help sanitize, done a lot of research. There's some cleaners that come with it, but I know that just simple water and bleach solution will run through these cleaners also and work just as well. So you can obviously buy the disinfectant when you're on purchasing, and we've reached out to a bunch of different vendors also, because some of them are so far back ordered that I'm hoping the pandemic will be over before they even get shipped. So some of the businesses and restaurants and retail businesses that we've reached out to have reached and purchased some of these plexiglass dividers, which are super expensive. But that's helping with the social distancing. Maybe we can get some of our seniors back to playing their bingo games and being able to get out and do some things for their mental health, which is super important during this time, with these plexiglass dividers. We have purchased a ton of face masks and refunded a ton of businesses for the face masks, so I'm super excited about that. I don't think that there's anyone in the city limits that's going without a face mask, and if so, we've definitely got a supply ready for them in a way to provide funds for that. Some of the daycares were concerned about their air purifiers. One of the limitations to the small business grant is that it cannot be a capital improvement, so we had to really work hard with air scrubbers. They can't get attached to your HVAC machines, which would be super easy. But we have helped some of the child care facilities and different places purchase these air purifiers, gloves, and then most importantly, the touchless thermometers were huge for some of the child care. They are still taking temperatures like at the Boys and Girls Club as each child comes in every day. Hand sanitizer was a good purchase. We've purchased a lot. We actually even helped the Downtown Association purchase sanitizer, then that was distributed to all the retail businesses within the downtown district to help keep our community safe and our visitors safe as they come through. So we're coming down to the wire. If you guys do hear of anyone, if anyone knows somebody who does need assistance, please reach out to me. I will help them get, I literally had someone sit in my office today and I filled out the application with them. So it's possible we can get it done. But I know we've all done a ton of emails and getting them out. Yes.
Well, I know it's for the daycare within the city, but if there are city residents, and there would be plenty who have their children, like say in Post Falls, because that's where they work or something, is that eligible to help?
For individuals?
Well, I guess to help the daycare, but because they serve Coeur d'Alene residents as well.
Right. So for individual, like grant funding or subsidies for different daycares, the small business relief grant does not actually qualify. However,
Okay.
CDBG has been help us merge that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a great question, though. Yes.
Stephanie, I was asked this question, are there certain businesses that don't qualify, or should the business just contact you directly to see?
So there have been some businesses that haven't qualified. Really, the committee has been very good about, they really want you to be touching and helping the youth. And currently, right now, providing assistance in some way in person with, helping bridge the gap, because schools are changing every 2 weeks as to are we in session, not in session. So we've really been, if you are hands-on with our youth, you're usually going to get some sort of qualification. But we haven't funded, the committee has not funded any virtual training. And we haven't provided for iPads or Zoom platforms or anything like that for any of those, just because the demand has been there, to provide for the actual tangible items. Any startup businesses automatically don't qualify through the state. So if you were not in business January 1, even though you did, because one of the qualifiers was that PPP, and you didn't qualify for it if you were sole proprietor or all those nonprofits. But some of the businesses that did apply started their businesses like in August or in March. And that just, I mean, you obviously were starting during the pandemic and don't qualify. So I do want to tell you that in talking with all the businesses, they've all asked me to tell you guys how appreciative they are of even just the $1,000 that one business is getting. They said you don't know how much it's helped them. So I did promise a lot of businesses that I would tell each and every one of you, thank you, thank you, thank you from the businesses in Coeur d'Alene.
All right. All right, Stephanie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We will move on to our public hearings, and we have two public hearings tonight. The first one is a Quasi Judicial hearing, A-1-20. This is a proposed 7.69 acre annexation from county agricultural to city R8 at 7278 Atlas Road. The applicant is Harmony Homes LLC. This is a quasi judicial hearing, and I would ask council, does any member of the council have a conflict of interest? Okay, seeing none. Tammy, you're up.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this evening, we do have a request for an annexation, and as the Mayor mentioned, the applicant and property owner is Harmony Homes LLC, and the engineer is Merle Van Houten Consulting and Design. So this is a request for zoning in conjunction with annexation for the R8 zoning district. And this is a map showing the subject property outlined here in the red. This is Atlas Road. And as I get into my staff report, I'll share that this area is just a small pocket that remains within Kootenai County. And this is the section that they're asking to annex, so this little parcel here will remain in the county. Back to my larger map. Get perspective of where it's at. This is Atlas Road and Prairie Avenue. This is the annexation map that the applicant submitted for this evening's hearing. It's outlined here in the black. And I've provided an annexation history map showing you some of the previous annexations in the area. So to the south, A106 and A492, which was a PUD in 1992. And then just to the north, this is the area of Sunshine Meadows, and that was annexed in 03. And this area, which is another portion, I believe, of Sunshine Meadows, A315, and this one annexed in 2016. So there's been a few annexations over the years in these areas. This is a bird's eye view of the subject property, and this is looking east from Atlas Road. And again, you'll see in the red the outline of the subject property. And there is a single-family dwelling unit on the site with some outbuildings, and there's some larger trees in the front. This is a site photo looking southeast from Atlas Road toward the subject property, and you can see the existing single-family and garage sitting here. And this is a view from Atlas Road looking north toward Prairie Avenue at the subject property, which is located in this area. And this is a view looking east toward the interior portion of the subject property from Atlas. And another view looking southeast toward Coeur d'Alene Place and the Park Rose developments. And another view looking northeast from Atlas Road at the subject property. And then this is from Atlas Road, along Atlas Road toward the Landings development. So generally, the R8 district is intended as a residential area that permits a mix of housing types at a density not greater than 8 units per gross acre. And there are 4 required findings for this evening's request for annexation. Finding B8, that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan policies. And the subject property is contiguous with existing city limits. and the comprehensive plan designates this area as Ramsey Woodland. And this is the approximate location of the subject property, and it is within the stable established area noted in this purple color. And your staff report describes Ramsey Woodland today. And Ramsey Woodland tomorrow is described as characteristics of the neighborhood have, for the most part, have been established and should be maintained. Development in the area will continue to grow in a stable manner. Lower density zoning districts will intermingle with existing Coeur d'Alene Place PUD, providing a variety of housing types. The northern boundary is the edge of the community, offering opportunities for infill. And here are the characteristics of the Ramsey Woodland neighborhood, outlining pedestrian bicycle trails, parks just 5 minutes walk away, neighborhood service nodes where appropriate, and multifamily and single-family housing units. And your staff report does include comp plan policies, goals, and objectives. Finding B9, that the public facilities and utilities are not available and adequate for the proposed use. So city staff indicated that there are adequate public services and facilities available, and the comments from streets and engineering, water, wastewater, fire are all located in your staff report on pages 8 and 9. Physical characteristics, the subject property is approximately 7.69 acres and is relatively flat. As I mentioned, there's a single-family dwelling and small accessory structures on the western portion of the site with mature trees along the frontage. And this subject property is a small pocket of land entirely surrounded by residential developments that are within the city. And this proposal would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. So, as I mentioned, this is a rapidly changing area within Coeur d'Alene. There's been multiple annexations, subdivisions, zone changes, PUDs have been approved in the area within the last 5 years. Sunshine Meadows is to the north, Coeur d'Alene Place and Park Rose developments are directly to the south, and then the Landings is directly across the street. To the west, and the developments within the area are primarily single-family developments. As far as traffic, the proposed annexation itself would not adversely affect the surrounding area with regard to traffic, as no traffic is generated from an annexation alone, and the Streets and Engineering Department did not have an objection to this requested annexation. And this is the existing land use map. As you can see, most of the surrounding area is indicated by this yellow color, and they're single-family dwellings. And this is our existing zoning map. The surrounding area is zoned R8, and then a little piece here which is R3, and R3 indicated by the yellow here, but otherwise it's R8 and then R8 PUD here and here. And there are no proposed items for the annexation agreement. So action alternatives, the City Council must consider this request for the zoning in conjunction with annexation and make the appropriate findings to approve, deny, or deny without prejudice. Any questions for staff?
Council questions. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Tammy. So on this thing, on this parcel, how many RDUs could it have? Is it like 60-something?
Gosh, I didn't actually do that. Let's see. So it is a 7-acre site, and it would allow for 8 units per acre in the R8.
So it's just math.
Yes.
Okay, I won't force you to do that. Did we hear anything from the school district about this?
We did not.
Disappointing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tammy, I told you when you came in, I thought you did a really nice staff report, and I really appreciate the comments from the planning and zoning commissioners. So I don't have any specific issues on this property, but I do want the council to help educate me since I'm still kind of the newcomer. I see on your staff report you check with stormwater, streets, water, wastewater, fire, but I don't see any communication with the police department. And I'm not going to put the chief on the spot, but I wonder on a larger proposal, if maybe in the future we should have them do an assessment. They could probably find a way to calculate calls for service. Might not change our minds at all, but it's always good to have that data. So I don't know what council's thoughts are on that.
I guess we could ask too, in the past, I mean, we've brought in large parcels of land. Have we in the past reached out to and brought PD? And she brings a good point, because there is some impact. Say if you bring in something the size of Coeur d'Alene Place, this is a smaller development, but if you bring in something much larger, has it been a practice in the past?
We did quite some time ago, and I'm not sure why that kind of was dropped, but we can certainly look into that and talk to Hillary about it.
Yeah.
PD.
Kiki.
I was just going to mention that I recall it a couple of them when we had higher density apartment complexes and those kinds of things. There had been asks in that specific situation. I recall that there was some asks about that in particular parts of town.
And that's what I'd be looking for, a much larger piece. And again, Chief, I'm looking at you, but I won't ask you to come up. I just think that they should be added to this list.
Thank you
Good
for your
point.
comments.
Mr. Mayor.
Dan.
I'm curious how this would work, and as far as the decision is, I know it's an impact, but one of my concerns is that often when we are doing an annexation or a zone change or something, and it involves workforce housing, that I think the response would always come back that, oh yeah, there's going to be more calls for services here just because that's what the crime reports say. And I don't know if that would influence us any. I mean, this workforce housing shouldn't be a negative thing. We shouldn't look at it that way. But yet the way that it would look from the perspective of increased calls for service would tend to make it that way. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. Dan does, but I don't want to say that we would do something that would taint it from would our approach then be defensive? Are we like, oh my gosh, we better not do this because it's going to be a real burden on the police department? Or what's the...
I think that would solely matter on what their assessment was. And I'm certain there's a way for them to capture projected calls for service. Maybe not. But I just want us to have all the data.
Yeah.
And I know what you're saying. Would we use it in a negative way? No, I think we'd use it just like everything we have in front of us.
Like if I know, because I talked to the chief before about like if a Walmart wanted to come here, I mean then oh yeah, he's
right.
Yeah, that would definitely weigh on my decision on whether that was going to be something we could, if it came to us, that I would approve. I mean, it would be like, oh my God, okay, yeah, they're saying it would be a big problem. So, but I don't want that to apply to housing because I don't want to be discriminatory.
Right. I don't know. Maybe we should be asking the chief, but we won't ask him at this meeting if he's not prepared.
Good point, though.
And I think when we're looking at all the property that they're talking about bringing to the city off of Hutter, I mean, that's a huge project.
There you go.
And that's an example of a project.
Oh, he is willing to speak. Maybe he could answer.
So just to put your minds at ease, I'm sorry, I'll step up the microphone first. Just to put your minds at ease, Hillary and I do speak on a semi-regular basis about some of the larger developments and the impact that might have on public safety.
Right.
There is a little bit of an art and a little bit of a science when it comes to projecting the number of calls for service that a given development might, how it might impact the police department and future staffing needs and that sort of thing, but it's certainly something we can do. We used to have a member that would come to DRT on a semi-regular basis to kind of look at the proposed things that are out there, but frankly, there's so much, and I mean, it kind of got drowned out in the noise. And so really, in the conversations I've had with Hillary was just that, if there's a larger development or something that appears that it's going to have a huge impact or a significant impact on public safety services, that we have that conversation first. Some of the larger annexations and some of the larger builds that some of the developers have done over the years, we've taken a look at those and, kind of, in at least internally within the police department, tried to give some gauge as to how that might impact us. Like, for instance, the new one that's going in right down here off of Celtice, the Atlas development, and some of the other larger ones that are being proposed along Hutter and Atlas and those areas. We've talked internally about those. So if requested, we could certainly provide that data to you. But I guess all that just to say that Hillary and I do talk on a semi-regular basis about the larger ones.
I appreciate that. It'd be nice to have that just summarized, just like fire in here, if you're actually getting something from the PD before it comes forward.
Yeah, we haven't been asked to do any of those things. We certainly can. I think some of the challenge relies too, and if there's a whole bunch of little ones, I don't know if I can say that this one's going to have an impact where that
Right.
one won't. When there's 10 small ones put together, that could create a significant impact. So it's we could certainly do that though.
Oh, it's kind of like the mayor said, when you have a very large development, it'd be interesting, so,
Yep.
thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Any other council questions? Woody?
In regards to Walmart, didn't we pay Post Falls and Hayden to do it so we didn't have to? I seem to remember that. Sorry, do you remember?
I'm not supposed to say that, Woody, not out loud.
Oh, now everybody knows. I'm sorry.
And one more comment for you, Dan, to answer your question. You could get 38 units in there at the end.
Oh, just 38, okay, that's better than 56, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions
In the R8.
for Tammy? Okay, thank
Thank you.
Now would be the time for the applicant to present, and I do have Merle Van Houten, who is in favor, that wishes to testify. You're speaking on behalf of the applicant?
That's correct.
Okay. Renata would need to swear you in.
When you're ready.
All right. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Where do I go? There's a whole lot of slides up here. Is it this one? No. Here we are. I got there.
That one.
Took me a minute, I apologize. So, well, council members, Mayor, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Merle Van Houten, and I'm here for the request of annexation of what's currently 7278 Atlas Road. I'd also like to thank Tammy. Thank you to the technical person who's helping me get this shared correctly too. And Tammy, good job on the presentation. I felt you did a really good job. One item to correct, it's 41, is that correct? Yeah, 41 units instead of 38 that she mentioned. No. Now you're gonna make me think.
We can have 62.
We can have
42.
we can have up to 62 that we're proposing, much less. But anyway, in terms of annexation, this request is for 7.69 acres of what is currently agricultural zone land in the county, and we were requesting to be brought into the city as R8. This request is being made by Harmony Homes, who is the owner of the property, and I'm the presenter and the civil engineer on the project. So what we're looking at from this aerial overlay is 7.69 acres that is surrounded on all sides by single-family developments. We've got Sunshine Meadow to the north and to the east. We have Coeur d'Alene Place to the south, and across Atlas Road is the landings. From the view on the ground, standing at Atlas Road, here on the picture on the left, we've got Canfield Mountain in the background, and what we see a lot of in previously undeveloped land on the prairie, agricultural use, level terrain, and over here on the right-hand side, we see the rear yard fence for Coeur d'Alene Place. As we move into the property, the picture on the right depicts your view as you stand on the southwest corner facing northeast, and the view of Sunshine Meadow comes into place, comes into view as you look off to the north and to the east. So I think this picture really tells the story. As I said, we're requesting R8, and everything in green is R8. So as we are surrounded here with other PUDs similar to the one that we're requesting, you have Coeur d'Alene Place, Park Rose, Sorbonne, Garden Grove, and then just off the page is Vista Meadows and the Enclave. And then your solid R8 traditional subdivisions would be Sunshine Meadow, Landings, Hawk Nest, and Prairie Trail. So I think our request is, you could make some other different requests for single-family developments, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to make a better case than R8 in this case. In terms of comprehensive plan compatibility, we are in the stable, established plan category, and our development will propose 5.46 units per acre, which is well within the R8 zone density. Atlas Road is the only opportunity for connectivity for cars and for pedestrians, and our proposal will have homes with the rear of the house 30 feet away from the PUD boundary at any point, which is greater than traditional R8 requirements. So I think we're doing our best to become good neighbors. Our neighborhood area is Ramsey Woodland, and our density is similar to nearby PUDs. One of the things that this development touts is that there's a lot of pedestrian connectivity throughout the development. In addition, there is the continuation of the Atlas Road Trail, which will be a benefit to the entire city. And in terms of geographic location, we're half a mile from city parks, from neighborhood convenience stores, so it really does provide some good connectivity to our residents. Special area that pertains here is the Spokane-Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer, and I'd say we're compatible with what the other surrounding developments are doing in terms of protecting that. And the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan, the ones that apply here are: number one, natural environment. We've got pedestrian connectivity, ornate landscaping, and we're conducive to outdoor interactions and activity. And goal number three is home environment. This is a logical location for residential development. As we saw in that previous slide, this single-family development all around. And this fits well with the managed growth of Coeur d'Alene. So I'm going to keep it that short and simple and say thank you for your time, and I'm open to any questions you may have.
Council questions? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So is it your intention after you get the annexation of the zoning to do a PUD as well?
Yes, that was what was presented to the Planning Commission last month.
And the PUD is for what?
The PUD,
I know that doesn't affect our decision, I'm just curious.
Is for 42 single-family residences.
Okay. And why can't, this is a mechanical question, but that you can't do that with a regular R8, you need a PUD?
We did request deviations for things like housing setbacks and, I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's
we
a
requested
trivial
certain
question
deviations
Okay.
to right away with building setbacks and things of that nature that Planning Commission reviewed and approved.
Yeah, the stuff you included, or that was included in the packet, it makes it look really cool, so.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much. I had Mr. Smock, Don Smock on the list that was in favor. Did you have anything to add, or you're good?
No, I'm just the applicant.
You're good, okay. All right, but just for the record that Don Smock is in favor. And those were the only two people I had on the list. Anyone out there in Zoom land? Renata?
I do not have anybody in Zoom land.
Okay. So at this time, we will close the public testimony portion of that and look for council action.
Well, since no one else is excited, I'll do it.
Well, I was trying to read it, Dan, sorry, go right
To
ahead.
make a motion to approve A120, a proposed 7.69 acre annexation from county agricultural to city R8 at 7278 Atlas Road, applicant Harmony Homes LLC, to direct staff to negotiate an annexation agreement and to develop the necessary findings and order.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Dan.
Thank you. I was just going to add that when we did annexations before, and I know this isn't a really huge one, but we really need to get feedback from our partners in the school district to make sure that we're not going to be burdening them too much with new students. I know this is not a huge annexation. We're not talking 400 houses here, but it's still something that I wish that chain of communications was more effective. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Renata.
Gookin,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
McEvers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Move on to the legislative hearing. This is V-20-03, vacation of a portion of Atlas right-of-way adjoining the westerly boundary of tax number 25317. Dennis must be out there.
Dennis is in Zoom land.
All right.
Yes,
So
way out
Dennis
here in
Mann.
Zoom land at my office. Hey, thanks, Mayor, and good evening, Council. The applicant, Fusion Architecture, on behalf of Andy Singh, ASG Holdings, is requesting the vacation of right-of-way that adjoins the east side of Atlas Road, north of Celtice Way, and south of I-90. I am hoping you can see the exhibit on the screen. My cursor is around Celtice there, and then there's Atlas Road. And then the east side is where the 10-foot strip of land is being asked to be vacated. So it is unknown when the requested right-of-way was originally dedicated to the city of Coeur d'Alene. The vacation of the requested right-of-way would not have any financial impact on the city and would add approximately 4,574 square feet to the county tax roll. It would be a benefit to the municipality as tax revenue, and eventual development of a portion of this site could lead to a more significant taxing entity. The purpose of this request is to vacate a 10-foot strip of Atlas Road right-of-way along the east side of Atlas, north of Celtice Way, to make it more useful for traffic circulation for a planned new gas station. All utilities are existing and in place, and there is no foreseeable use for this additional right-of-way. Therefore, the vacation of this portion of right-of-way adjoining this parcel would not impact the city and would be a benefit to the property owner. The development review team was informed about this vacation. I did send out 34 certified mailings. I did not receive any responses through the mail. I did get a few phone calls, and they just was wondering what was going on. So answered their questions, and they were all fine. The recommendation is that the city council should approve the vacation action per Idaho Code Section 50-1306, and to vacate the property to the applicant Rex Anderson on behalf of Andy Singh ASG Holdings LLC. Thank you.
So questions for Dennis? Kiki?
Dennis, this may be just a drawing, but how does that affect the trail that runs through the bottom of there? It looks like this is on the city portion of their property on.
So, yeah, that's a great question. This aerial that the consultant is using is actually an old photo. With the new Celtice Way improvements, it looks different. So if you're looking at the southwest part of that picture where it looks like the trail goes over the property, that does not exist there anymore.
Because there's a roundabout there now,
It's actually
right?
further out.
So there's a roundabout, and that whole trail has been realigned, so that part of the trail wouldn't be affected, it's somewhere else.
That's right. But to clarify, Celtice Way Trail has been realigned. The trail along Atlas, it has not been realigned, although it's in an appropriate spot. It's in our right-of-way. So, and the applicant could, in the future, move it a little bit if he wanted to fit their plans. But right now, it's fine where it's at.
But we won't lose any connection, is the.
No.
All right.
Any other
Great question. Thank you.
Any questions for Dennis? If there weren't any more questions, we'd be looking for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to dispense with the rule and read Council Bill 201022 by once by title only.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Renata, if you could read the title, please.
Council Bill number 20-1022. An ordinance of the City of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, Idaho, vacating a portion of Atlas Road right-of-way, generally described as a parcel of land adjoining the westerly boundary of tax number 25317, EX tax number 9956, in the City of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, Idaho. Repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, and providing for the publication of a summary of this ordinance and an effective date hereof.
Looking for a last piece of action here.
A motion to adopt Council Bill 201022.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? One final roll call, please, Renata.
English?
Yes?
Wood?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Sure.
Motion
To
carried.
adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Now, when you say.